You're my Valentine, my one true Valentine. Valentine stars David Boreanaz, Denise Richards, and is directed by Jamie Blanks. So guys, before I get started, this is kind of an unscheduled review. You see, this week is Millennium Slasher Week on Killer Flicks, and today's Killer Flick of the Day was Valentine. You know, this is a movie that I've watched quite a lot, actually, over the last 15 years. I can't believe the movie's actually 15 years. I guess you could say it's one of those guilty pleasure slashers. You know it's not that good, but there's just something about it that does resonate. And so I thought, you know what, I've been wanting to review this one anyway, so why not do it today since it's the Killer Flick of the Day? So I guess it's a Killer Flick of the Day review. So Valentine is a revenge story, and everybody loves a good revenge story, and it's about this kid, Jeremy Melton, and he's a geek, you know, he's a nerd. And these four girls, Paige, Kate, Dorothy, and Lily, they're not too nice to him. You know, this is normal behavior when you're in middle school though. But the situation does escalate, and Jeremy is extremely embarrassed. So embarrassed that years later, he starts killing people, namely these girls, and he wants revenge. And what's fun about this movie also is that it is a whodunit. They don't let you know who Jeremy is because Jeremy 20 years later is going to look different than Jeremy when he's in middle school. So that's just another fun aspect of the movie throughout. You're just like, ooh, it could be this guy, it could be this guy, and so on. But Valentine was one of the first, I guess you could say, millennium slashers. It came out in 2001. There might have been one before it, but I can't think of one. But it was directed by Jamie Blanks, who's a huge fan of Halloween, and he wanted to kind of emulate that tried and true formula. You know, not divert away from it too much. You know, just a straight up slasher movie with a slasher that's just killing off people. And one thing that I like about it is the look of the killer. He has this Valentine's Day mask. If done wrong, it could look cheesy, but I like the way the mask looks, and there is some help from the cinematography in this movie. The mask is lit very ominous looking, and it just works. I like all the scenes with the killer in the movie. As a matter of fact, those are the best scenes of the movie in my mind. And it is hard to make a slasher killer look, dare I say, iconic. But that mask, it does look iconic in my mind. It's just too bad that the movie surrounding the killer wasn't as good as the killer himself. Whereas in Halloween, you had Michael Myers, but you had all this great stuff around Michael Myers too. And that's why that is just one of the greatest movies ever. But this is a movie that I like to say is easily accessible. It's a really polished looking slasher movie. It looks like a bigger budget movie, honestly. And you do have some bigger stars in this movie. As a matter of fact, Katherine Heigl is one of the first prey, I guess you could say, and this is one of her earlier movies. As a matter of fact, when this came out, I didn't really know who she was. And then when I went back and watched this years later, I was like, oh, that's Katherine Heigl. And then of course, you also have Denise Richards, who was at the top of her game in that day. Hint, hint, Wild Things. So guys are gonna like this movie because there is some eye candy to it. And also, I have to mention the soundtrack to this movie. This is one of those really great soundtracks to kind of a lackluster slasher movie. Another one was Freddy vs. Jason, had an amazing soundtrack. If you like rock or metal music, then this is the soundtrack for you. You have some great artists, and one of the songs that really sticks out is Opticon by Orgy. It's just a really catchy tune. Really, this movie has kind of a sexy vibe throughout it. You know, the music is sexy, everything about it it's probably the sexiest slasher that there is. Okay, we've talked about the good, now let's talk about the cons for Valentine, because yeah, this is not a perfect movie by any means. The first big problem is the characters. You don't really care about any of them. So when they are killed, you don't care. They're really lifeless, they're one-dimensional. There's really no depth to them. And Jamie Blanks knew this. This was just a fun, you know, simple slasher movie that wasn't meant to be too deep, and it's not. And also, I have to say that it is predictable. You're probably gonna be able to guess who the killer is by the end of the movie, and when the killer is revealed, you'll be like, oh yeah, I knew that, but I still had a good time. And really, that's what this movie is. It's a good time. And you're not gonna write home about it. You're not gonna immediately go on the internet and say, I just saw the greatest slasher movie ever. But you might say, I had a pretty good time with this movie. And I think it was a great opportunity to make it Valentine. There had been no slasher movie called Valentine. Sure, there was My Bloody Valentine, but they just grabbed the name Valentine. Hey, we can do that too. So it's just another option to watch on Valentine's Day besides My Bloody Valentine. So in the end, guys, if I'm being honest, I have to give this movie a high humdrum. But if you're a big slasher fan, then you're definitely going to want to check this movie out because it is a good time. So what are your thoughts on Valentine? Looking forward to hearing them. And be sure to join the Killer Flicks Facebook group where we talk horror all day, every day. Like, comment, and subscribe to Drumdums. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And Drumdum out.